Hello, Flossie dear. I thought it was high time I sent you a story. So, this one is called Fairy Cakes for the Queen. But I'm very sorry to say it has no pictures. But it is a good story because I've tried it out. So I'm going to read it now. Little Fairy Honeywheat was enjoying her morning tea when a squirrel bounded up to her. "Excuse me, miss," said the squirrel. "Is your name Honeywheat, the best baker of fairy cakes in the forest?" Honeywheat laughed. "That's my name, and everyone always loves my fairy cakes, so I guess so." "Great. The Queen of Fairies," the squirrel paused and scratched his head. "Ah, yes. The Queen requires your fairy cakes for her afternoon tea today." "The Queen? What an honour," said Honeywheat. "Of course I'll make some for her. How many does she need?" The squirrel stopped playing with his tail. "Oh, I'm not sure. Lots, I expect. I think she's having a party." With that, the squirrel bounded off. "Well," said Honeywheat, "I'd better get cooking if I'm going to be ready by tea time." Soon the delicious smell of freshly baked fairy cakes filled the forest around her home. Honeywheat carefully picked a jar of honey and put it in her carrier bag, which was so heavy and full of fairy cakes she couldn't fly. "That's okay," she said to herself. "It's a lovely day for a walk and I've plenty of time." So off she went, singing her favourite song. She'd only been walking for a few minutes when she heard an "Ow!" in a familiar voice. Investigating, she found Cuddles the hedgehog limping along. "Whatever's the matter, Cuddles?" asked Honeywheat. Cuddles sat down. "Oh, thank goodness," he wheezed. "I've been coming to see you all morning. I cut my paw last night trying to get my dinner, and I haven't been able to walk properly since." Honeywheat examined the sore paw. It looked tender. She opened her carry pack and took out the jar of honey. She gently cleaned the cut, put a spot of honey on it, and wrapped it in a spare napkin. "You'll need to keep it clean, but it should be right as rain by tomorrow," she said. Cuddles' tummy rumbled. It was so loud Honeywheat looked round to see if it was a bear. "Sorry," said Cuddles. "I didn't get any dinner last night, and no breakfast this morning." "That's okay," said Honeywheat with a laugh. "Here, have a few fairy cakes. I was so excited to be asked to make some for the Queen's tea party. I made far too many." Now, hedgehogs aren't very big, but Cuddles was very, very hungry. By the time he was full, Honeywheat was getting worried about how many fairy cakes would be left. Cuddles rubbed his tummy. "Those are delicious. I'm sorry I ate so many." "I'm glad you like them," said Honeywheat as she shouldered her carry pack. "Don't worry, there are lots left, and my pack is light enough for me to fly now." After promising to check in on him later, Honeywheat flew off. "Now that I'm flying, I'll be at the Queen's palace in no time," she said, and sang her favourite song again. Barely a minute later, she heard baby sparrows squabbling loudly. "What's all this noise about?" shouted Honeywheat as she flew up to the nest. 4 sparrow chicks were shouting at each other and then at her. Calm down," she said, and pointed at one chick. "You, what's your name?" "I'm Featherweight," he said, "because I'm the smallest." "Well then, Featherweight, what's the matter?" asked Honeywheat. "We're so hungry," said Featherweight. "Petalbeak found a bug, but wouldn't share it, and—" "I did not," said Petalbeak. "It was a leaf." "Enough. Calm down, everyone," said Honeywheat. "Where's your mother?" "She left at dawn like normal," said Petalbeak, "but she hasn't come back," said Featherweight. "We're so hungry," chorused the sparrow chicks. Honeywheat smiled. "Well, I can give you a snack to tide you over if you promise to stop fighting." She opened her carry pack. The chicks' eyes went wide. "Fairy cakes!" shrieked Petalbeak. The 4 chicks dove at Honeywheat's pack, snapping up fairy cakes in a blur of beaks. In a flash, her pack was empty. Hey, said Honeywheat, that wasn't nice. Those were for the Queen's tea. We're sorry, chirped the chicks, who didn't look sorry at all. Just then Mother Sparrow returned to the nest. Here we are, she shouted, fat caterpillars for everyone. Oh, hello, Miss Fairy. My chicks weren't causing a fuss, were they? Honeywheat's lip trembled as she picked up her empty pack. I think everything will be fine now, she said. She flew off, the chicks squabbling about which caterpillar was the biggest, just as loudly as before. Honeywheat looked at her empty pack, and her heart sank. Whatever could she do? She didn't have time to bake another batch of fairy cakes. The only thing she could do was apologize. She flew the rest of the way to the Queen's palace in silence. When she arrived, the Queen welcomed her. Oh, Honeywheat, I'm so glad you could make it. Honeywheat burst into tears. I'm so sorry, Your Majesty. I made so many fairy cakes I couldn't fly. Then I just... Now, said the Queen. Come sit down. Here, have a cup of tea, and then tell me everything. So Honeywheat told the Queen about the squirrel, then what happened to Cuddles, and then about the hungry sparrow chicks. The Queen laughed. I know those chicks. They almost ate my crown yesterday. I'm so sorry I wasn't able to bring you the fairy cakes you wanted for your tea party, said Honeywheat. The Queen smiled. Thank you for being so brave and showing up after everything you've been through today, but I'm the one who needs to apologize. Squirrels are very good at delivering messages quickly, but they get them muddled up all the time. What do you mean, Your Majesty? Asked Honeywheat. I asked the squirrel to invite you to tea, said the Queen. When he wasn't sure who you were, I told him, the one who makes the best fairy cakes in the forest. The Queen smiled. Your fairy cakes would have been lovely, but I didn't want them. I just wanted your company for tea. The two fairies laughed and talked for the rest of the afternoon. On her way home, Honeywheat checked in on Cuddles, whose paw was already looking much better. Tired from a long and eventful day, Honeywheat slipped into her flower petal bed and was soon fast asleep. So there we are, Floss. I thought it was rather a nice story. I hope you have a very, very nice weekend, and I'm sending you lots and lots of love. Bye, Zio.